Hey everyone, welcome to the Elite Real Estate Podcast. I'm your host, Sam Popple, along with my co-host, William McClelland. How you doing today, Will?
Dude, always good. Just trying to get some deals, make some things happen, help some friends, help us, all the good stuff.
Exactly, man. We're turning and burning over here in Pensacola. Got so many houses getting started. But
That's a good way to say it. Yeah, we're
today,
moving.
today's not about us though. Today is about our friend Harrison Freeman. Harrison grew up in Destin. He's a couple years younger than me, but from the same hometown. Him and his wife Addison, with their five-month-old Daniel, now live in Tuscaloosa. He's an engineer by day, but the reason we're having him on the show is because he is a force to reckon with in storage facilities. So him and his family have sold 10 storage units, storage facilities in the past 10 years. Over the past 7 years, and they currently manage 3. So without further ado, welcome Harrison Freeman to the show.
Awesome. Thanks, guys. I appreciate y'all having me on.
Yeah, man. Thank you for coming on, because like I said, man, we love talking to people doing big things that know more about different categories of real estate than we do. And Will and I have always been interested in storage units. Storage units and industrial flex is definitely something we want to get into. So we're excited to have the expert, you, on the show.
Awesome. Well, I'm excited to kind of share any kind of knowledge with you and your listeners. Any way I can help.
Yeah, dude. So let's dive into it. Tell us a little bit about your background, a little bit about who Harrison is, and then kind of how you got started in storage units.
Yeah. So I'm originally from the Panhandle, Florida, down in Destin, Florida. I went to school at the University of Alabama. We currently live in Tuscaloosa. I've got a wife and a 5-month-old, so we stay super busy with our personal lives.
Yeah.
But actually, right out of school, I remember kind of going down the journey that I think a lot of young professionals kind of go down. You know, you graduate college, you start your job, and then you really realize that maybe the W-2 route just itself isn't necessarily the most efficient way to build wealth and actually accomplish a lot of the goals that my wife and I had set out for each other. So we started asking some folks, including my parents and her parents, and we really, and a lot of our family friends, and we really wanted to see what was the best, most efficient way to accumulate wealth, and not just to accumulate it, but we actually set some pretty cool goals for our family. And in order to accomplish those goals, we had to kind of branch out and figure out other passive, I wouldn't call it passive, I would just say additional income streams to be able to actually accomplish those goals. And that kind of led me to, after talking to a bunch of different family friends and other folks who were very successful, that led me to a few different books. I'm sure y'all know which book I'm going to talk about, but it led me to Rich Dad, Poor Dad. And that's the one that kind of, flipped the switch in my brain and then allowed us to really kind of dive into real estate. So yeah, that's a long story short, reading Rich Dad, Poor Dad.
Dude, nice. we love it. It's like, it needs to be a reminder for everybody, because I mean, I think we've done close to 70 episodes, and I mean, that's probably been 1 out of every 2 people bring the book up, but it's for a reason. So it's definitely a good one. Before I ask, because I want to get into your engineering by day, real estate by passion. But before I get into that, I just want to know, because I'm a goal person. What was that lofty goal that you guys set? Like, I want to hear the number.
Yeah. So we have a goal throughout our life. So, all right. And again, we're getting a little off track with real estate here, but
and keep in mind, this is a success podcast. No need to be bashful. You can brag on here. You can throw out the big numbers.
Yeah. So have y'all ever heard the term lifestyle creep? Like, lifestyle creep. So as you go up, as you make more money, your lifestyle kind of creeps up. Your expenses creep up as your revenue creeps up.
I grew up in Destin with you, dude. I saw it.
Yeah. So yeah. That's a good way to put it.
Yeah.
So my wife and I, we've got actually a big lofty goal, and it's called our giving creep. So each year we are giving away one additional 1% of our income. So we started out,
Nice.
beyond our tithe, we're giving away 1% of our income. We've been doing it now for about 5 years, so we're giving away 5% of our income. By the time we hit 50 years of doing this, we want to be able to give away 50% of our income and continue to maintain the lifestyle that we have. So
Awesome.
in order to do that, we could not just stick to our W-2 jobs. We would have to jump into either small business, real estate. We had to figure out some way to continuously generate income and continuously grow that income and wealth in order to be able to do that. So that's kind of our driving force.
Yeah. Dude, that is such a beautiful goal. I'm not gonna lie, I was wanting to hear a big greedy number like $1 billion, but that is a much nicer. I mean, dude, I absolutely love that. I'm gonna give some deep thought on that myself on incorporating that in my own life, because I think that's just a beautiful goal to contribute to society. Really nice. But let me get on to the question. So you work as an engineer at Hunt Refining Company. How did you first get exposed to the real estate investing while working full time, or did you start it before that?
Yeah. So no. Actually, we started whenever I started working full time. So I right out of college, I worked for a large paper manufacturer. I was an engineer for them, and so again, really just going through all of our different W-2 jobs and everything. I ran into a guy on his and I was listening to his podcast. His name was Ryan Smith. I'll kind of give him a shout out here. And he's an ultra successful real estate investor. And he looked throughout. He spent, so I kind of piggybacked off his study, but he spent 10 years of his time studying kind of, hey, what were the best risk adjusted turns and what were the best asset classes that did the best in the last recession. And at that time, the last recession was 2008. That was kind of before the downturn we're going through now. And the two asset classes that performed the best during the recession and continued to perform well during good times were mobile home parks and self-storage. And he was kind of all in on those. He had invested in single family houses. He'd invested in multifamily, and he started a fund in self-storage and mobile home parks. So I kind of piggybacked off of him, all of the research that he had done. And we said, hey, look, whatever we can get into first, whether it's a mobile home park or a self-storage facility first, that's kind of what we're going after. So we looked on market, we looked off market, whether it's direct mail, cold calls, just driving for dollars, looking for those two things. And really the first facility we purchased was a small self-storage facility down in Daphne, Alabama, which we still own to this day. But that's kind of how we got our start in real estate. Was we kind of jumped straight into commercial real estate. We kind of bypassed a lot of the single family stuff.
Yeah,
Nice.
I love that.
I love it. Yeah, we tried to dabble into getting into mobile home parks, and it was grind. It was a grind. Yeah, it was
A lot of liars in those in their that paperwork in terms of.
Well, I think just really poor bookkeeping. It's like a lot of mom and pop things, right? Like in our particular case, we did do a lot of due diligence, and it really came out to the realtor, which was strange. But there is a lot of bad bookkeeping when I was like freaking.
Well, I was accounting for like all the one-off expenses that look like that happen annually.
Oh yeah.
So, that's funny. So, let's talk a little bit about that first deal. You guys still hold it. Daphne is not too far from us, actually right up the road. So let's talk a little bit about that deal, how you got into it. You were able to kind of bypass that single family, and most, I guess would say the easiest entry point where people are looking is generally
below money down stuff.
Let's do a burr, or let's try and get into an easy flip, or exactly, low money down. But you guys just kind of saw past that, so let's dive into some of those details there, especially since you still have it. That's pretty sick.
Yeah, absolutely. So I wish I had this great kind of story for you, to where we went through a mastermind and we really got educated and we really learned and we knew what we were doing. We had this amazing business plan that we just went in and executed. But no, this was actually the only deal that we've purchased on market. So it was an on market facility. It was listed by one of the large self-storage brokers. Back in that time, we bought it back in 2017 or 18. I want to say it was early 2018. It was listed at an 8.5 cap on market, which nowadays people would be all over.
Right. Yeah.
but at that time, it was actually kind of there was a little bit of a lower cap rate than what a lot of the other ones where I currently was living in Hattiesburg, Mississippi, were trading for. So really, I looked at my wife and then also looked at my dad. So the three of us, we all raised the money together, and we ended up splitting it. We split it with my parents. We went 50-50 on the deal, and then
did y'all raise capital or personal savings, or how'd y'all?
Just all personal savings. So everything was personal savings. Again, first deal. We didn't feel comfortable that we knew what we were doing. So we said, hey, look, if the ship goes down, we're only going to be the ones going down with this ship.
And was it all cash, or did y'all get financing?
No, we got financing. So that was kind of back when it was, 20% down, kind of general community bank financing on it. Like I said, 8.5 cap, cash flowing property. That was back when debt was, 5.5% interest rate. So we had a great 3-point spread on it. We felt good about it. We didn't think it would really, skyrocket in value or anything, but we figured, hey, look, this will be a good small facility that we can learn on. So, and it, again, we still own it to this day. It cash flows really, really well. I wouldn't say it was the one that made us a millionaire or anything, but we learned a ton, and it was the one we got our systems in place. So, we didn't kill it with it, but we also didn't, we didn't get hurt from it.
Yeah, you didn't lose your shirt, right?
Exactly.
Which a lot of people jump in too big, and then you always hear some bad stories. So
exactly,
that's cool.
Yeah, so you bought and sold 10 self-storage units in 7 years. That's pretty solid track record. What's your general acquisition and exit strategy for doing that?
Yeah, so again, I really wish I had just this awesome business plan. Hey, look, we're going to hold for 5 to 7 years, and then we're going to exit, and it's going to be a 20-25% IRR. But no, if you've ever read the book Good to Great by Jim Collins, he puts out a kind of analogy called the flywheel. And as what he says, running a business or any endeavor is a lot like turning a flywheel. It's really hard to get that first push, but once it goes around once, the second push to get it going is a little easier and a little easier and a little easier. Well, kind of at that point, we got some confidence in self-storage. The next deal, I went out and I really wasn't super comfortable cold calling, so I sent out a cold text to everyone. I'm a millennial, so we text. It's easier, it's less scary, whatnot. So actually got a deal from that in where I was living at the time, Hattiesburg, Mississippi. We got another one down in Santa Rosa Beach, and we just kind of started accumulating these small storage facilities.
Santa Rosa Beach is a gym now. That's a great market.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Yeah,
absolutely. So we kind of just started, and then once we had 3 kind of under management at that point, we really felt really, really good about what we were doing.
So what year are we at now?
Yeah, so we were buying about 1 per year. So we
2021, 2020,
yeah, so
2022.
2019, and then 2020.
Okay.
Gotcha. So we were buying 1 a year. Again, we were conservative with these. We were using our own cash. We were going to a community bank. Just again, kind of taking a conservative growth kind of process with these. But they were at that time what we thought were slowly, increasing equity. Actually, they were skyrocketing because it was, pre 2020.
Right.
We could all, kind of predict that we'd have bought as much real estate as we could.
Exactly.
Right.
So we bought the one. I say it
all the time. My biggest regret of 2021 was not buying a bigger house. I was way too conservative that year.
Yeah, I just wish I would have bought I would have bought a whole condo complex or an apartment.
Exactly. And a mansion.
When money was like free to use.
Yeah. I was buying half of what I was qualified for all that entire time, and I wish I would have maxed everything out. But
Exactly.
that's a whole other podcast, Harrison. Sorry for getting you off track.
No, you're good. You're good. And really in 21 is kind of where we stepped up our game. We bought a whole 2 facilities. We found a portfolio of 2, and that was kind of crazy for us buying 2 facilities.
Now you're up to 5.
Yep. We're at 5. And then it was the next year, 2022, we went and bought a portfolio of 4 facilities. And we ended up purchasing another one in that same town that same year. So we ended up with 5 that kind of in that 1 year, and that brought us to those 10 facilities we had.
Wow.
Yes, and it was all great. You figure, hey, look, nothing goes wrong, with this kind of growth, et cetera, et cetera. But as you're growing, y'all may have heard this before. Your systems don't necessarily scale with you whenever you bring in 5 facilities. When you're doing 1 at a time, it's pretty easy to do it. But 5 was where it got tricky.
Everything got pressure tested real quick.
Yeah, absolutely. That's exactly right. So really and truly, when we bought those 5 facilities, it was in a small town in Mississippi. So again, this was kind of the first time we were actually buying rural facilities too. This was kind of a big deal. It was over 100,000 square feet. It was a big purchase. And at that point, I kind of had to quit my job. So I actually left the paper company to go into self-storage full time, and it was a very mismanaged portfolio, those 5 facilities. The other ones we purchased were all pretty stabilized with some upside, if that makes sense. So this was a big, unstabilized portfolio. So quit the job, went got worked on those. We worked on those for a solid year. So we again, whole entire facelift. We had to pretty much turn over the whole entire tenant base and everything. And then after about a year and a half, we ended up selling those for double what we purchased and kind of cashed out on those.
Nice.
So it was a home run. Sometimes it's better to be lucky than good, but we hit a home run right, and we sold it right before the interest rate spiked.
Man, sometimes God knows better than you too.
Yeah. So we sold it to a larger operator. So they bought that whole portfolio of 5 in itself, and then we've sold another one since. So we still have I guess 4 of our facilities. But yeah, we kind of started selling a lot of the ones over in Mississippi once we moved to Tuscaloosa. So
okay,
kind of rambled a little bit, but
now why? What kind of helps you determine if it's a good deal, bad deal? Where the value add pops into it, and then really when it's cash flowing, or you've got the operations running, when you're going to keep it versus selling. Because it kind of seems like you're all encompassing here. So.
Yes. Like I said, I wish I had just this great business model for you. But no, it really came down to a little bit of work-life balance when it came to these facilities. The ones that were rural, and also some of the ones over kind of in that part of Mississippi were very, very operational intensive. So we had to hire full-time maintenance people. We had to hire an additional full-time person, manager to answer phone calls for those facilities. We had to hire a part-time person to help with delinquency with those facilities. So it was just super, super management intensive versus a lot of these other facilities that were in better markets like Daphne, Alabama, Santa Rosa Beach, Florida, Brandon, Mississippi. I mean, once we set our systems up, we have one in-office person who can take care of all facilities. So
what's that system look like? Do you use a lot of software, VAs, or just boots on the ground? How's that work?
Yep. So a combination of all 3. So we use a storable software. It's called Storable Edge to run all of our self-storage facilities. And that's a very common software for folks who run remote facilities. We don't have full-time folks who run these facilities. We have one full-time, I call her VA. Now she's really it seems like an employee with such a relationship we have with her. We've had her for for going on 4 years now. But she kind of manages all of the day-to-day for all the facilities. So everything from answering phone calls, taking payments, creating maintenance requests for the units. She takes care of a lot of our QuickBooks, expenses, etc. So she really encompasses everything for us when it comes to day-to-day of these storage facilities. And then at each storage facility, we have a part-time maintenance tech, and they visit the facility once a week. They check on it. Sometimes they cut the grass, but they make sure everything's working properly. They clean units. They ensure that all of our, I would call it kind of grounds maintenance is taken care of. So rodent bait traps, herbicide, pesticide. Some of our facilities have office spaces that we rent out. They take care of the
cool.
air filters, etc. So, and they visit like I said, every week on Fridays. We have all of our maintenance techs go, and that's when our in-person or in-office person who answers phone calls, our VA answers phone calls for us, knows that all the maintenance tasks are getting taken care of. So she kind of oversees them while they're there as well.
Nice.
Cool.
So when you're looking at deals, do you focus on loan to value deals or high margins, or what's your lead approach into how you balance growth when you're trying to find the right next storage unit?
Yeah. So we're buying cash flow facilities. So these are small facilities. These are typically under 40,000 square feet that we're purchasing. So under 400 units, you can kind of, depending on your terminology that you use, storage, we typically use square footage, but they're under 40,000. And they're high cash flow. So they're by year 2, we want to be hitting at least 10% cash on cash return. So whatever we're putting down, usually we're putting down, at least nowadays 30 to 40% down. We're trying to hit a 10% cash on cash return by year 2. So we want to make sure that we've got that sufficient margin that if anything happens, like we're experiencing right now, we have plenty of runway to these properties are going to perform, and be, I guess successful is what we're saying. Because right now it's a struggling time for self-storage. Self-storage is struggling because I guess one thing people don't think about with self-storage is we're tied directly to the housing market, and not necessarily housing values, but we thrive on movement. So when people are moving, they need storage. When people aren't moving, they do not need storage. There's about 60, I would say 60 to 70% of our facilities are folks who are permanent tenants. They're going to be there no matter what. So we're going to hit 60 to 70% occupancy no matter what. It's that 20 to 30%, which we call transient tenants. They come because they're moving. I mean, they're moving houses, they're moving offices, they're buying and selling. So that's kind of the part that's been taking a hit for self-storage. But because we have I would call a little higher LTV on them, and we purchased them right, we've been fine, but our occupancy is down 10% from, I would say, 3 years ago.
Oh, wow. And you say you're still going to get your financing with community banks? You said you're starting to put 30 to 40% down now?
Yeah. We're yep.
Is it typically a 5-year balloon on like a 20-year amortization?
Yep, 5-year balloon, 20-year amortization. The one that actually 2 of our deals, that portfolio we purchased, we went through an SBA loan. So, and it was 25-year am. So,
okay.
Yep. And then also same thing for our Brandon, Mississippi. We went SBA loan, 25-year am. That was kind of during that COVID period when they waived all fees as well. So, and those are fully amortizing 25-year, but the rate resets every 5 years.
Right. Yeah. Interesting. Now, whenever you guys look into spaces, and now you're down 10% occupancy, you're keeping your eyes open on other pieces of real estate. I think you guys are dabbling into a couple different new things. You want to talk a little bit about that?
Yeah. So again, we are very work-life balance folks. So our goals have shifted. If you'd asked me 5 years ago, I'd have said I'm buying all small facilities across all of Alabama, Mississippi, and Florida. We're going to buy as many as we can. And we're going to continue to group them and sell them to larger operators. Now we are strictly looking in the Tuscaloosa, Birmingham area. So
cool.
Yep. So we're trying to create a portfolio. I would call it a family portfolio for us of well located, with a lack of a better term, easier to run facilities, kind of like we have down in Daphne or Brandon or Santa Rosa Beach, that we can just slowly accumulate and kind of just fold into our system. So we're being really picky and really choosy about our storage facilities that we're purchasing from now on. So yeah,
what for the people listening, what are some of the characteristics of one you would choose versus one you would pass on?
Yeah. So instead of for example, the last few deals we purchased were super low occupancy. Now we're looking, I want to see at least 70% occupancy in deals that we're purchasing. So which is still a little low for the storage side, but still considered stabilized when you're purchasing 70% occupancy. We're also looking for properties, instead of them being right there around 10,000 to 15,000 square feet, we're looking closer to 30 to 40,000 square feet, to where we can really hire some good boots on the ground guys and have them go, maybe a couple times a week to ensure that things are getting taken care of and maintained properly. We're also looking in what I would call nicer suburbs of Birmingham and Tuscaloosa. So I want to see the median income kind of in that 3-mile radius be closer to 60 to 70% for household income, as opposed to 30 or 40% where we've purchased in the past. Or sorry, 60 to 70,000 $1,000 per household income instead of $30,000 to $40,000 household income.
That one makes a lot of sense. And then just from my own understanding, because I know, I've been a big follower of like Grant Cardone and his multifamily stuff, and I know, one of the first things he recommends is like a 32 unit, because a $50 increase in a 32 unit changes value by $1 million. And then it's like, but then when he talks about multifamily, I think he really stresses the sweet spots getting over 100 units. Because that's when you start having that on-site management. So I heard you saying that 30 to 40,000 plus square feet is kind of like when you can, I guess, afford that additional boots on the ground. About how many units does that look like? What, like a 30,000 square foot facility? Like, what would the makeup of like what the actual units would be?
Yeah, it's going to be about 300 units. So units are going to range from anywhere from a 5-foot by 10-foot unit all the way up to probably a 10-foot by 30-foot unit. But on average, your average unit's a 10 by 10. That's kind of like your bread and butter for self-storage when you're written out. So that kind of breaks down to about 300 units. And really for us, our model's not on-site management. We're not gonna have anyone on site full time or anything like that. All of ours, it's gonna be remote management. But it's really getting to that 30 to 40,000 square foot. That gives you enough revenue to where you don't really have to bellyache over maintenance items. So, for example, if we had to replace all the roofs on the buildings, we have enough revenue to help do that. Versus these smaller facilities, when a door goes out and you've got to spend $1,500 replacing, a roll-up door, it kind of kills your cash flow for the entire month. So we've seen with our larger facilities that we can weather those storms. We can stay profitable month to month whenever we have a larger revenue number.
No, that makes a ton of sense. But obviously, you guys were conservative and you were able to build that. So for some of the listeners, like that slow and steady growth and that mindset allows their whole group to really be able to do these types of things. Because a lot of people, like we talked about just a little while ago, sometimes they're jumping in on things that are way too big and then it goes completely south. So that's awesome. Are you guys only focusing on self-storage and just kind of creating, I guess, this regional family portfolio, like you're saying, in the Birmingham, Tuscaloosa area? Or are you guys dabbling in other things? I know you said you just moved into your new home. Are there other places of real estate that you're looking into, or is this it, and this is what you're really good at? You're pretty risk averse, I would say. You know what to look for, what to look out for. So
self-storage is our main focus. I mean, that's kind of where most of my marketing efforts are going. Now I'm always down for a one-off project. So my wife and I, we always have some sort of one-off project. Like I said, we've got office buildings that have come with this. We've had car washes in the past that have come with storage facilities.
Fun.
We've had rental houses. We've had, we've always got one-off projects. The last little project we just did was a short-term rental that we ended up flipping. So we always do have the one-off projects, but self-storage is our bread and butter. That's what we're looking for. That's what we have the system set up for, so we can just easily roll it in there. Now, again, if we come across something that we love, which we haven't yet after all this all the various dabbling, we've done in other asset classes, we will bolt that on there. But self-storage is our main focus.
I got you. And you're talking a little bit about you're focusing your marketing efforts to self-storage, and you chatted a little bit about how now you're doing higher loan to value, still utilizing community banks. Can you talk to us and the listeners, like what's the value of going into some of these more remote areas and using a community bank and then teaming up or partnering with them? And are you using the same community bank as you're looking for storage units, or you're finding community banks within the community you're purchasing it?
Yeah, so we've actually used the same community bank.
Cool. That's awesome.
Once we've had that first facility, we kind of set the track record with them. That we quoted many other ones, but they've always come back, in either met or were better than the other quotes we've gotten or rate quotes we've gotten. So we created this partnership with this community bank that we use, and they are, they kind of believed in us in the beginning, and now they really believe in us, especially since we have got a pretty good portfolio with them. So it just makes it really easy. We don't really have to fret about anything. We know what to underwrite to. We know what the rates are, et cetera, et cetera. So yeah, especially now that we've condensed our radius, hey, like funding's not an issue anymore for us when it comes to that. When it comes to the actual debt side.
Okay. Yeah, and I want to preface, like, to the listeners, the funding's not an issue because they have a proven, success path, and then they're underwriting the deals, and they're passing on deals that aren't going to make sense, where the underwriting would, say, hey, this isn't going to work, right? So it's not like they're getting to a point where, oh, money's not a thing. No, they're doing the due diligence. Everything they're doing is right, and they have a proven track record. And when you kind of lean into all of those things combined, when you find a great partner, a financing partner especially, it makes things a lot easier. So that was kind of a question for the listeners, and also kind of a selfish question, because we've been partnering with a certain finance group, and we're having pretty good success with them. Like you said, you always want to quote and shop just to see where we're at, and where other potential new business could lie, because you could find that you work better with new person or not. But yeah, that's really cool.
Yeah, another thing they love is that we find most of our deals off market. So I mean, that's as y'all know in this game. I mean, that's kind of where the deals are.
Right. Are you still doing that through cold text, or what's your best method now?
Any and every method. So we have we've purchased facilities cold calling, which we kind of branched out after the cold text. So we purchased them cold text. We purchased them direct mail. I've purchased them going and knocking on the door of the facility, and then the manager telling me where the owner works, and then going to the owner's business and saying, "Hey, would you be interested in selling the facility?"
I love it.
So yeah, so any way we've found deals.
Awesome.
And when you're doing that on the marketing side, and this is, like you said, at any level of this game, finding off market, that's where you're going to thrive, and that's where you're going to create margins for yourself and your company. So when you're focusing on your marketing efforts, you said you're cold calling, you're cold texting, you're going directly to facilities. Have you found anything that works better than the rest, or it's just always a combination of all of the above?
It's literally been a combination.
Yeah.
We don't have one marketing source where I'm like, yeah, this is the best. No, I think we found a facility each and every way. And awesome. It's kind of like when you're selling a house, it only takes one buyer. So, same thing here. It really only takes one seller to really change your, I hate to say it, but change your life, or get one deal done. And plus, a lot of these are easy to set them up. So what we did was created a database utilizing Google Maps, and then skip tracing the owners. Sure. And then I started out cold calling and cold texting. We've got VAs that help us now, but I started out doing that. And then kind of once we get a lead in, I still take over from there and go meet these owners in person. And how we found, again, I'm not recommending this the best, as the best way to do things, but how we found that portfolio of properties in Mississippi was I jumped in the car for 8 hours and I drove across the state of Mississippi, and I took I took pictures of different facilities and made a list of the facilities that I liked. This was back when I lived in Mississippi. I created a list of towns that we wanted to visit, and then we went and found all the facilities in there because not all of them are listed on Google. And that's whenever I just started knocking on the doors. And again, we made a ton of money by doing that. It was a one-off. It wasn't scalable, but again, it was totally worth it.
Now,
Driving for dollars.
If you'd be willing to share, because I know some people will touch with the numbers, but like I said, this is a podcast where we celebrate big wins. What did you invest into that portfolio deal, and then what did you sell it for? Because I know you said you doubled the money.
Yeah. So So that one again, that was an SBA loan. So we ended up purchasing that facility that portfolio for $750,000. And then we purchased another facility in that town for $300,000. So we were all in for about $1 million, and we ended up selling it for $2 million.
Nice.
So that was a great, like I said, that was a great day for us.
I just want to put that out there because all that work you said you did, I mean, it sounds like so much up front.
Yeah.
But to make $1 million,
yeah,
I think it was all worth it.
Oh, absolutely. Again,
Right.
It required me quitting my job, taking the leap. Again, I'm employed again after that portfolio. So I didn't just stay retired and all that. But yeah, to make $1 million, it was well worth the investment.
And Harrison, for all our listeners listening, how old are you?
I'm 31.
31. Okay. And I just want to put out there because you did this in the last couple of years, so you're still in your 20s. And it's just like, doing a deal that big before you're 30 years old it's impressive for anyone, but just, I just want everyone to hear that and know that, just add more inspiration to everybody to let everyone know that, like, you can start this. Like, you didn't know everything when you were going, you were just pushing forward and figuring it out, and you got a big payday because of it.
Absolutely. And we're super blessed. And again, I don't want to say it was again, as I've reiterated in this podcast, it wasn't because we had some great business plan and we executed it perfectly. I mean, a lot of it was just grind and grit and, taking a leap of faith. And also I want to say to those folks who want to leave their jobs or do anything like that, leaving your job doesn't have to be a permanent decision. I left mine temporarily. I went and got another one, which I love, and I have no plans to leave. I absolutely love where I work. So like I said, it doesn't have to be a permanent decision.
Right. Well, no, I think that's good. I think that's good to put out there because you're going with the best option you have at the time. But you did mention, go with your, going having faith in it. How has your Christian faith influenced the way you operate your business and make your investment decisions?
Yeah. Yeah, so I consider myself saved back in 2019. So I actually got saved I would say towards the beginning of our real estate journey. So we got started back in 2018. And that's made I wish I could say it made a huge difference. It helps me with a lot of my little decisions. So a lot
of little decisions equal, big outcomes.
Yes, absolutely. Again, it helped us set our goal of being able to give away 50% of everything that we make. But really, it helps me make my day-to-day decisions. If there's anything that would affect my integrity or, I would call it my name or anything like that, it's just not worth it. It helps us it really helped us set our family values. So our family values are, number one, love God. Number two, value all others. Number three, do everything with excellence, which sometimes isn't the best financial move. But the way we define excellence in our family is doing the best you can at something and then also following the Holy Spirit and doing it with integrity. So everything we do has to be with excellence. Number three is honor your mother. So my wife Addison, is very important that we honor her. And then that'd be number four. And then number five is give generously. So it really helps me. It helped me define and set my personal goals, which our business ended up following. Does that make sense?
Yeah. Dude, yeah, no, and I love that. And I got a follow-up question. How did you and your wife come together and decide to have these family values? Did y'all go to a course or y'all just have a conversation and, hey, we're going to list it? Or did y'all read a book? I mean, because I'm getting inspired from this. And so I just wonder, what was the sign that's hey, this is what the Freeman stand for?
Yeah, we went to a marriage conference through our church back in 2021, and there was a speaker named Jimmy Evans there. And again, another one of those kind of like Rich Dad Poor Dad, kind of blew our mind when it comes to marriage and how we relate with each other. And since then, he recommends you go on just very similar to a lot of the professional or personal development folks recommend, an annual vision retreat. But this is for our life and our marriage, and that's where we were able to set all these goals that I'm talking about, set those family values for each other or for our family, and that's kind of where everything comes from. So every January we go on an annual vision retreat with our family. This year we went to the Dominican Republic, did one of those all-inclusive places, and we just sat down for 3 days and kind of mapped out the next 3 to 5 years of our life. And so we do that every year, and it kind of refocuses us and reframes where we're going in our life.
Dude, that is awesome. I just think that is very, very powerful, and it's clear it's working, because your family's doing well.
Yeah, absolutely. Again, very blessed.
That's awesome. And that was a retreat with your church in Tuscaloosa?
Yep. Yeah. So
that's really cool.
Yep. So they brought him in. They brought him in. It was a marriage conference. It was really good. They do it every year. So
what was his name? Does he have any books that we could recommend people?
I don't know. His name was Jimmy Evans, and he's got a marriage retreat booklet that we follow each year and kind of go through. I don't know any other books, and I don't know, but he was a profound speaker for
No, that's cool. Yeah, definitely. If you guys are listening, check out Jimmy Evans, and obviously it's done so much for your family, and so I'm sure it would do a lot of good, especially if you're feeling kind of stuck. This podcast is really cool. You get people from all over the map who were lucky enough, and if we haven't told you enough already, Harrison, we're very thankful that you're on and sharing your story. It means so much, and I love that people are getting to hear about it, and this could be the message that someone needed to hear. So thank you again. I guess it kind of
as soon as I can meet my future wife, I want to do it,
Yeah.
I just got to find her first,
Yeah. It kind of tees us up perfectly for one of our rounding questions of like, what do you see? And I know we're not quite to January yet, but what's next for you and your family? Not only in your investing journey, your faith journey, what are these big goals and milestones that you're aiming for? And we'll just use the next 3 to 5 years, since you had mentioned that's what you guys were planning out in the Dominican.
Yeah, absolutely. So we kind of have some counterintuitive goals to what a lot of real estate investors do. We are, I love kind of a variety of people. We follow a variety of people when it comes to kind of how we like to model our financial journey. So one of the people we love is Dave Ramsey, which is very low debt. We also really like following Brandon Turner, Robert Kiyosaki. So we kind of follow a wide variety of folks, Mike Michalowicz. But back to your original question. So our next financial goal is to get this house paid off. So we purchased the house. We did purchase it, very very low LTV on it, but we want to get that mortgage knocked out. After that, again, I wish I just had these additional profound goals, but it is to build wealth and give generously. So that's where our future finances are going to go. We're going to continue to accumulate commercial real estate, and we're going to continue to give generously in our community. And that's really about it. So
I love it. I guess what made you move back, from Destin to Alabama to Mississippi, back to Alabama? What got you back there?
Yeah, so very fortunate. I got a job here at Hunt. I wanted to jump back into engineering because I enjoyed my time in engineering. I like working. It provides me structure. It provides me routine. I am better at. I felt like I am better and more productive while I'm working. If that kind of makes sense. So I got on with this job here, which I love. I love the people I work with. I love what we do at Hunt Refining. And a huge Alabama fan. So it gave me the opportunity.
Yeah, you went to Alabama, so that's cool.
To Tuscaloosa. live here. We are walking distance to Bryant-Denny Stadium and
awesome.
So we go to all the football games, all the basketball games. It is like living in my definition of Disney World. So we are super, super happy to be here in Tuscaloosa, and we love, Alabama sports.
Very cool.
And your son's gonna be able to go to college and stay at home.
That's right. Well, yeah, I don't know about that, but he'll be able to go to college there. So something tells me we'll get him a little house and rent it out to him and his friends or something.
Right.
A little quadplex or something.
Yeah.
Yeah. Just so kind of rounding out. I know Sam always loves to ask about books. I always like. This is my favorite question. So for people that are listening and they're inspired by your story, by this podcast, they want to reach out to you. If you could kind of talk to all of them that might want to reach out to you individually, but just right now, if they're interested in following your journey and doing kind of what you're doing or emulate exactly what you've done, what's the best piece of advice you would be able to give them to make the jump?
Yeah. So to follow our journey, I recommend, if you haven't, read Rich Dad Poor Dad. It gets you in the asset liability mindset. Number 2, I highly recommend Financial Peace University. They're Dave Ramsey, especially if you're married and you're trying to kind of get your personal financial life in order. So we're large Financial Peace University. It's a course that he offers, and really
those are opposite ends of the spectrum.
Way off. Way opposite.
Your Kiyosaki, but I love it.
Absolutely.
I think it's great to have perspective though, because I've done both, and it's interesting. And I'm sorry to interrupt, but I always love when people recommend both, because there are some people that are one side or the other.
I'm a Ramsey guy. My personal finances. I'm a Kiyosaki guy with everything commercial.
Yes, exactly.
So when you guys start reading that, I just want to highlight you want to read them both, because they're two totally different types of teachings, and so
both very applicable.
But both very applicable. So
yeah. You gotta understand that Ramsey's teachings are mostly for a personal. Don't buy a Ferrari. That's like the basics of Ramsey. Kiyosaki's teachings is, like I said, using debt on stuff that makes you money. So that's basically
pay for the Ferrari.
Exactly. So my understanding is, like, basically, merging them two together is I try not to take debt on anything that doesn't pay me.
Yes.
If it doesn't pay me, or I'm not going to collect a big paycheck off of it, you shouldn't take debt on it.
You hit the nail on the head right there. That's exactly right. But we're kind of like y'all. I love getting every perspective. Like, I don't write anyone off. I love to hear. And then kind of number 3. We read the book Profit First, and that's kind of our budgeting system for our personal and business finances. It's kind of a lesser known book, but yeah, Profit First. That's what we use to budget. But those 3 books, those have made the biggest impact in our life. But if anyone wants to reach out, just shoot me an email to harrison@selfstorage.com. I'm happy to answer any questions that anyone has about self-storage, personal finance. My wife Addison was featured on the Bigger Pockets Money podcast talking about real estate and personal finance.
So she's the person we need to.
Oh yeah, she's the one who should have been on here.
We'll get her in for a follow-up, dude.
Yeah. She helps folks in our local community with personal finance for free. It's kind of her passion. So,
dude, we would love to have her.
No way.
Will and I have talked about before how we really do want to try to get more and more successful women in real estate on the show, just to kind of help broaden the audience. I mean, if she is interested, we'd love to have her on to speak to everybody, especially she's already educating people on personal finance.
Absolutely. She would love that. And yes, she is kind of, she drives everything. I just, hop on podcasts every now and then. So
awesome, man. No, I do. Again, we appreciate you coming on today. So much knowledge. I have so much. I've already had admiration for you, dude, but I got so much more just seeing the intricacies of how you run your personal life and your family. I think it's beautiful, man. I'm just gonna say that it's like I love the code you guys have and how you guys plan together, and I see how all that has added to the success
totally
that you have. Like that's not it's not, it's all because of all those little things you do is I think why you guys have been so blessed in the space. And yeah, man, it's very inspirational. So I love hearing it. Love hearing about you guys making $1 million. But I think it's even cooler that you're striving to be able to give away half your income, because it's like everybody pushes to make more and more and more, but why? And it's like you got a very powerful why. And yeah, that's my thought I'm leaving the show with is like, wow, this why is powerful. I need to go and relook in my inner self on my why.
Well, thank y'all so much, Sam. I've loved following your journey over the past few years. I mean,
I appreciate it.
Inspirational, and again, I've loved all of your updates and kind of everything you've gotten into. It's been a big inspiration to me too. So
thank you so much.
Wait. Yeah, I can't wait to keep watching y'all's journey and keep listening to the podcast.
Cool.
So it's
Well, before we close out, we got to pay our bills. So if anyone needs any building supplies, building anything along the Emerald Coast from Fairhope, Alabama to Santa Rosa Beach, Florida, all the way to that Bay County line, shoot us a message to Will on our website, the Elite Real Estate Podcast. Let him know you need building supply quotes. He is the man over at Dufresne. He is supplying job sites, like I said, all over this panhandle, getting you the best prices. So like I said, shoot us a message, and he can definitely help you out there. And then, if you need a healthy food, ready to go, don't tired of cooking, come see me for meal prep. We got locations in Mobile, Alabama, Pensacola, Florida, Shalimar, Florida, and Tallahassee. Would love to make it so you don't ever have to cook again. Just come see me at Clean Eats. We'll have meals ready to go for you. Will, did I leave anything out? Trying to make sure we wrapped up and got paid off something.
No. I really want to thank you for your time. I hopefully somewhere, even maybe we can come up to a game, we get to meet in person. I really appreciate it, and
that would be a blast.
Yeah, that'd be a lot of fun. I think the only other thing is we always let everybody know if you're looking at deals, we'll run a deal analysis. If you're looking at lots, a lot of times there's a lot of issues with them, so just shoot them over. We're just here to help. That's what this whole podcast is about. This is really cool.
And we're still actively buying in Escambia County. So
Yeah.
if you have anything you want to sell us, any kind of lots that are buildable, we are looking to purchase too. So you can also shoot us a message on that, because we might be your buyer. We bought 3 last month, and we got stuff under contract right now. So
we bought 5 last month. It's okay. You didn't make it to all the closing tables. But I think we just got another one under contract today. So we're definitely looking. So if you guys have something, or if you want a JV on a deal, we just partner with our first JV partner, so we're open to that now. A lot of good stuff. Really excited about getting, I know we're just scratching the surface on storage units, but thanks so much for your expertise and your time, and I look forward to meeting you. So
awesome. Thanks,
Thanks for joining us. So we'll see you soon, Harrison. And thank you everyone for tuning in to the Elite Real Estate Podcast, and we'll see everyone next week.
Thanks, guys. See ya.